Reconstructive Thought Surgery. My name is Michelle and I'm with Live Out Loud Coaching. Many of you may have attended some of the sessions that I did in the past, and unfortunately, due to circumstances, we cannot be together live and in person, but hopefully soon. But in the meantime, I hope that you and your families are staying safe and well. All right, this is going to be probably a three-part segment, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. So why we think by habit and not by intention? Our brain is programmed with the past, basically, and through acting on thoughts over and over, we create a conditioning process which strengthens the thoughts, and those become habits. Also, when things happen in our lives, certain situations happen, and it brings with it a high emotional charge, that causes what we call an anchor in our nervous system, basically. So just as an example, say you're driving down the road and it's a great day. You look up in the rearview mirror and you see red and blue lights. Okay, what automatically happens in your body? Your heart might start to race a little bit. You might get nervous and feel like your stomach and your heart traded places, wondering, racing through your mind, was I speeding? Did I not use a turn signal? Like, what did I do? Why am I being pulled over? But just because that's usually a negative thing, most of the time people take it as that, and it has that high emotional charge because it's an indicator of some sort of trouble, then that anchors that in us. And now probably every time that happens to you, you have that same physiological response. So why do you keep doing the same things over and over? Sometimes we wonder, why do I keep doing the same thing over and over? We expect different results, but it doesn't usually often happen. But you've taught yourself to remember those behaviors even though they don't serve you. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that the moment you begin thinking about your problems or your fears, you are activating memories of the past that are connected with certain people or certain situations, similar to what I just described. But your thoughts are the vocabulary of your mind, and your feelings are the vocabulary of your body. So how you think and feel creates your state of being. So most people start their day reaffirming their entire state of being in the past. With this habitual thinking, they engage in the same behaviors, and their habitat then is reinforcing those habits, and they keep doing the same things unconsciously over and over. We've taught and conditioned ourselves to remember those behaviors even though they don't serve us. So on this slide, I just have some almost similar bullet points, but we have an event, and it's not really, we have to realize that it's not the event, people or things in our lives that make us feel any way. Nobody makes us feel angry. Nobody makes us feel sad. Nobody makes us feel happy, really. Nothing makes us feel those things. But we lace it into the DNA of our verbiage, really saying, oh, she makes me mad, or that situation upset me, or whatever. We give our power away to people and things whenever we say that they caused us to feel a certain reaction, to feel a certain emotion. So if we can remember that events don't cause that, what's causing our feeling response, our emotional response, is the way we think and believe about these things, about what happened. It's our thoughts and beliefs that drive those feelings in those moments. And then the feelings have such an impact on us that there's typically an action response. That action response can be a positive response or a negative response. And depending on what that is, let's just say it has a negative response. We take a negative action. Then the outcome likely is going to be negative, right? Maybe you call somebody out on something that they said to you, and instead of thoroughly thinking through what you wanted to say and how you wanted to express yourself to them, it just came straight out, whatever, and there was no filter. And now it's caused some major tension within that relationship, so that now has a negative response. That negative outcome, I'm sorry, a negative outcome, that negative outcome now tends to become the new event, because now you're going to have thoughts and beliefs and attitudes about that new event. And you're likely to, what are your thoughts going to be? Well, he or she really doesn't care, or they wouldn't have taken it that way. They know how I am. When we tend to justify all of that stuff. But we have new thoughts and beliefs that reaffirm how we thought and believed during the first event anyway, right? So we tend to get caught in a cycle and dig out a rut of same thinking over and over and same responses over and over. We have to stop that cycle. And in order to stop that cycle, we have to challenge ourselves, challenge our own beliefs, challenge our own thoughts. And before we start reacting, we need to sit and consider, okay, is there a different way to think about this? Might I think about this a little bit differently so that I have a positive action choice, right? It's not going to fix the feelings maybe of being upset, but it might alleviate the intensity of those feelings. It might be able to take you, this whole process, thinking it through, might be able to take you from a point of rage and anger to a point of disappointment. And when you're disappointed, you can certainly handle things a lot better than when you're angry or rageful. You with me? So changing our thoughts, challenging our beliefs, because just because we have a belief doesn't make it entirely accurate. We might have believed these things or had this idea of what things ought to be practically all of our lives, but that doesn't mean that it's right. We have to take the time to search ourselves, search our own hearts, minds, and emotions, and see, is this really something that's worked for me all these years, or is this my typical response, and that's why I've had a bunch of problems in my life over things like this. So remember, it's not the event that causes us to feel a certain way. It's our thoughts and beliefs and attitudes about what's going on in our lives, about people in our lives, about what's the relationships in our lives. So go ahead and don't be shy. Don't be shy to look in the mirror and challenge yourself on some things. I think that when we all do that before we have a knee-jerk reaction, we can better communicate with our people and express ourselves in a more genuine and authentic way. All right, so do you have goals that you never seem to meet, such as goals for your health, for your nutrition, to be more fit, or even for your finances? Okay. These thought patterns lead to behavioral habits. The thought patterns could be thoughts such as, I can't give up eating that, or I don't have time to exercise. Making purchases from an emotional state rather than a rational one. Purchasing that car because it just felt so good to drive, but really you were only looking, and the dealer, the salesman, just really knew how to amp up your emotions, and then you made an emotional purchase. So those thoughts are what lead to the same behaviors. What are you telling yourself? What's the self-talk behind our goals? Are we talking ourselves out of doing it because we don't think we can? We don't think we have the time? Are we talking ourselves out of it because we think we can't afford it? What is it? Or are we talking ourselves into it because we know we can? We know if we buckle down, we draw the line in the sand, anything can happen, and we can get our health on point, our nutrition on point, our finances on point, our relationships on point, and never settle for anything less than what you deserve. Procrastination and perfectionism often get in the way right here. They are fear-based thoughts and behaviors. If proper nutrition and exercise seem so overwhelming, time-consuming, or even expensive, we'll likely give up too early, or not engage at all. But again, if we change our thinking, and if we're really ready and search our reason, our true reason for doing this, we don't want health just because the doctor said that we should. We don't want health because, good health just because, our friends might be doing it, or, they might be watching their nutrition, or, whatever the case is, you have to find your why. How would it benefit you to be healthier? How would it benefit you to have your finances in order? Take some time and visit those questions within yourself. How would it benefit you to have a good, positive, solid relationship? When you get those answers, then ask yourself, what would that mean to me? What would it mean to me to have that type of relationship? What would it mean to me to have my finances in order the way I want to have them in order? What would it mean to me to be healthier or more fit? And then after you get those answers, then ask yourself that again. What would that mean to me? Why is that important to me? See, we ask ourselves surface level questions because we don't want to do the work. We often don't want to really, truly dive in to what's inside of us. I don't know what we're afraid of. I don't know if we're afraid of the work or if we're afraid of the answers, but our real deep reason and purpose is so deep inside of us that we have to ask layers and layers and layers of many times the same questions in order to get to those answers. So don't be afraid of that. This is, again, reconstructive thought surgery. Start asking yourself those questions multiple times, because every time when you get an answer, then what would that mean to me? How would that benefit me? And then answer that. And then you look at that answer. Well, what would that mean to me? How would I benefit from that? How would my family benefit from that, or all my loved ones? What could I accomplish from that state versus the state I'm currently in? And how would that be? And what would that mean? So you're asking the same questions. I know it sounds repetitive, and it is, right? But our behaviors all through these last several years or decades or all our life have been repetitive. So it's a problem. Right? We can do this. We can take some time to explore the new. So let's do that. You can't get there from here. This includes changing the way you think of yourself and your own abilities. For example, if you want to quit smoking, right? Don't tell yourself you want to quit or that you're even going to try. Start telling yourself you're not a smoker. And start acting and feeling on a feeling emotional level that you're not a smoker. Like, what would it feel like to not be a smoker? If you can figure that out, then you can start acting in whatever way you think that looks like. Right? We can act as if until it happens. We can model other people. It's almost like modeling is like building your own superhero, right? Where we're playing a video game and I want this person's strength, I want that person's agility, I want that person's speed, I want that person's wisdom. And it doesn't all have to come from the same person. It can come from a fictional character, it can come from a family member, it can come from somebody that you admire that you don't even know. But however they emulate those particular things in their lives, you can start doing it in your life. And you can build your own by doing that, by modeling somebody else. Okay? So when you think the same thoughts and do the same things, you get the same results. So we must change what we think, feel, and do so that we can get to a different space. And again, finding your reason why. This is so important. If you don't find your reason why, then a lot of this is just going to, hopefully be at least a nice video that you heard, but hopefully it's something that you can use. So determine your deep reason for your goals. Build your self-discipline muscle. Right? We can go to the gym and we can build our biceps and our leg muscles, our chest muscles, back muscles, whatever. But we also have a mental muscle, and we have a discipline muscle that we can build. A book called Thought Vibration was written in 1906, and they talked a little bit differently back then. But the book was great, and the author encourages the reader to perform a task that they don't like to do. Choose one task that you hate to do, that you don't like to do, or for sure that you're not consistent with, and make yourself do that task every single day. It should be something you can do every single day. Excuse me, sorry about that. So And then throw yourself at that task with enthusiasm. It's like the New Year's resolutions. They might, we can start off gung ho, but that only lasts maybe a week, two, sometimes three, rarely three, because we lose our motivation, and motivation isn't going to last forever. Motivation wanes, so we have to know the reason why we're doing something and have enough enthusiasm about the why, not about the task, but about the why, that it will give us the ability to meet resistance and go through the resistance once we do meet it, because we will. Life happens. We lose motivation. We don't want to do those things sometimes. Sometimes we don't feel like it. But showing up when we don't feel like it helps build that muscle even more. So for yourself, um, I'm asking for the next 45 days that you take this idea. The idea is that 21 days makes or breaks a habit. That's not entirely true. If you think about it, you're starting something new. You're giving up something old and starting something new. So in the first 21 days of starting this something new, you're really still an infant in the whole thing, in this new thing. So you want to give yourself some time. You want to give yourself at least 45 days. We should really do 3 rounds of the 21 days so that we have a total of 63 days. But at least 45 days. For the next 45 days, I encourage you to think of a habit, or think of a task that you really don't like to do or that you're not consistent with. And force yourself to do that one thing every single day, even if it's a baby step, even if it's a little bit. If it's exercise, don't overdo it, because you're going to be sore and you're probably not, there are going to be days that you don't want to continue, and then you'll start justifying that, well, the body needs rest anyway. Okay, on those rest days, at least go for a walk. Do something small, do some baby steps. Um, but, or read, maybe read a good book that you can learn from that will teach you more about yourself, about your thought processes and stuff, and feed your brain, feed your mind some good information. So more studies show that it takes those 3 rounds. So let's at least do it for 45 days. And I'm going to be working on part 2 of this in the meantime. I wish you all the best, and I hope that maybe we can check in someday whenever I can meet back with you in person. Until then, have a great evening, great morning, whatever it is for you.